You already know Ash currently has ownership of 77 Pokemon, including all 30 of his Tauros, including pre-evolved forms, traded, released, and given away Pokemon, and not including the additional Tauros. Ash has currently owned a total of 98 different species. But let's just talk about the 77 of his Pokemon. They have varied in types, and with him having at least one representative of each type. I'll now talk about my favorite Pokemon of each type. I asked for 200 likes on my last video to make this one, and you guys blew it out of the water. 400 likes on this video, and I'll talk about my favorite Pokemon for each type of Ash's companions. Be sure to check out my least favorite of Ash's Pokemon video after you watch this one to see my other choices, and to post your picks there too. If I pick a dual type Pokemon for a type as my favorite, I won't consider for the other type if it comes up again. We have 18 types to discuss, so let's just cut to the chase and get started. I will do it in another order as last time as to spice things up. Ash's best electric Pokemon is Pikachu, but that shouldn't be a surprise considering it's his only electric Pokemon. If you were ever to get another electric Pokemon, what would it have been? As for Psychic and Fairy, Mr. Mime is the only one that fits both types, but like Pikachu, he's great to like, so I would probably pick him regardless. By the way, I got some comments saying that Mr. Mime isn't Ash's, but don't forget that he's the one who caught his own stepfather. And for the last type that he only owns one of, it's Gengar. His Gengar had a great personality and was really fun to watch the battle, so he'd probably win anyways too. Ash's bug Pokemon consists of 3, and my favorite out of the bunch is Heracross. Often dubbed the Johto Ace, although that's very arguable in my opinion, Heracross was a Pokemon that always tried his best in battle, and also one that offered great comedic moments. Fluttering away the flames in his battle against Gary's Magmar was an amazing moment of my childhood, and I wish we got to see him battle more in Johto. I do have to say that Leonie's appearance in the anime recently got me to like him a lot more. Heracross, however, was just super great throughout Johto, and even stronger when he returned in the Sinnoh League against Conway, and was great versus Tobias too. Up next we have Ash's infamous Dark types. All 3 of them are amazing, and it's really hard to pick just one, but if I had to pick one, it would be Greninja. Now, don't get it twisted, I am not one of those Greninja fanboys that makes Greninja AMVs and makes liking Pokemon XY religion, but I do really think that he's cool. I always liked Greninja from the moment that I played with one in the games, and Ash's was just that animated onto my screen. It's one of Ash's strongest Pokemon ever and received a great amount of development. It's cool to see him in Journeys much stronger than before too. The Ash-Greninja transformation is also really amazing, and its theme is an absolute banger. I honestly just love the ninja. No, not this ninja's aesthetic. We don't have too many dragons to deal with, but it's okay because if I had to pick my favorite, it'd be Dracovish. It was just so derpy and so fun to watch battle because of how simple-minded it was. I like Dracovish so much despite the fact that we honestly barely ever saw it, and also it got a few character moments. Ash's Dracovish is so strong that it's a physical beast that's battling in the Masters 8, and it has Water Gun as a move. And don't forget that he's Ash's first Pokemon to defeat a champion Pokemon. For Steel types we only have 2, and I selected one in my last video, so the obvious answer here is Lucario. Yeah, it's like picking the better of 2 things you don't like. Yeah, Lucario won, but I don't really like Lucario all that much. As a Riolu, he got some cool personality, and it was cute seeing him battling Pokemon bigger and more powerful than him. And if I do have some positives to say about Lucario, it's the fact that it's Ash's first and only Mega Evolution thus far, so that already gives it a really strong fighting point. Also, all of its battles that were in Mega Evolution form were fun to watch, and even if it got some really forced wins from time to time, it was still great watching him battle. Again, like all Journey's Pokemon, if it would have gotten more character development and more time outside their Pokeballs interacting with each other, then I probably would have honestly liked this Pokemon even more. Just like last time, we only had 2 Ash Rock Pokemon, and my favorite of the pair is Lycanroc. Another similarity is that the last pick is also a pupper, but a good one this time. Yeah, I actually love Lycanroc, everything about him is great. As a Rockruff, and even now, it's still a really cute Pokemon. It's a doggo, so of course I just want to go and pet it. It was also a strong battler, beating Olivia in a double battle with Rowlet, defeating all 3 of Nano's Pokemon by himself, harshly damaging Kukui's Incineroar, and of course being the Pokemon that scored the final knockout, granting Ash his first ever regional tournament victory. It even has a Z move that only he can use, which makes him one of the cool kids on the block. In general, it is one of Ash's best Pokemon period, so it was unfair for poor Boldore from the start. The final typing that only has 2 species is Ice, so the winner for this typing is Lapras, and Ash doesn't even own it anymore. Sorry, Glalie. Like I mentioned before, Lapras is a Pokemon that is so closely associated with the Orange Island season of the anime, and that's one that I hold close to my heart. Ash's Lapras was a total cute baby that even double knocked out with Drake's Gengar in its only battle, which helped him win the Orange Islands trophy. Fun fact, Ash's Lapras is the only character in the entire show's history to be shown aging, which I think is a cool detail. Lapras was a beloved Pokemon, and had it stayed with Ash, it could have proven to be one of his best. Poison type has a grand total of 3, technically. The winner of this type is probably extremely obvious, but it's a Pokemon that can hold Black Sludge. That's right, it's Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur is a boss who has an iconic scene like this.
Smoke weed every day.
How can you not love him? He makes up one half of Squirtle, one of the best combos in all of Pokemon. Bulbasaur is the leader of the Pokemon at Oak's Croft for a reason, and Ash's most mature and responsible Pokemon. Well, for the most part. He even holds the prestige of being the Pokemon that has been in Ash's party the longest outside of Pikachu. Bulbasaur came up clutch in so many battles. Even if it would have been cool to see him evolve all the way to Venusaur, I think that this Pokemon being a veteran as a base form is a statement all in itself because of all of his strongest Pokemon are base form. Ground types are associated with the Sinnoh region for Ash for the simple fact that, well, he had 3 of them. So it makes sense that my pick is Gliscor, a Pokemon that had a great development story. It started off as not the strongest, but then he got shipped out to get even stronger, and he actually came back unlike a certain someone. I'm looking at you, Primate. His evolution moment was one of the sickest, with Ash throwing the Razor Fangs so that Gliscor can rescue him from falling. Gliscor came back in the clutchest of ways, being the Pokemon that took down Paul's Drapion, which knocked out half of his team already. It did such an amazing job in the series, and his personality was top tier, so it shouldn't be a surprise that this is my ground type choice. Flying types are associated with Kalos because half of his team were part flying during this portion of the anime. So it only makes sense that my favorite Pokemon that's flying is Swellow. How can you not like a Pokemon like Swellow when it went crazy and just did Thunder Armor just cause he could? And just when you think that's crazy, a few episodes later we see Swellow using his bare talons to stop a Donphan that's been spinning 1,000 miles per second. Swellow even did its best battling against Tobias' Latios, which is what let Pikachu double knock out with it. This Pokemon holds a special place in my heart because as a kid I always used it on my team when playing through Pokemon Emerald, so it's a species that I really care for. Swellow still remains to be one of Ash's most underrated Pokemon, with so many incredible feats in the Hoenn and Battle Frontier saga. Fighting types are Pokemon that pack a serious punch, but I'm sure it's not a surprise that my favorite of the bunch is Pikachu. Wait, that doesn't count? I guess I have to settle with the best next choice, which is Infernape. A Pokemon that arguably has one of the most character development aside from Pikachu, but arguably even more than him. The true highlight of the Sinnoh series by far as the Pokemon owned by Paul, participated in so many gym battles, and helped Ash to finally defeat his incredibly handsome rival Luap. Or Paul, same thing, just backwards. Infernape's return in Pokemon Journeys was even fantastic, going up against Moltres and helping Gengar learn Will-O-Wisp. I love the interaction between Infernape and Paul in the episode 2. I'll be honest, Infernape is one of the few Pokemon that are hard to find any flaws for. He even helps old Professor Oak get around. We are getting into the heat of things as we try to determine my favorite fire Pokemon, and possibly no surprise, it's Pikachu. Fine, you guys don't like Pikachu, I get it, so my honorary second choice is Charizard. Charizard is another Pokemon that had great development. Who would have thought that having a good character development would get us more attached to these characters? Regardless, as a Charmander he was a total cutie who charmed me in every appearance. As a Charmeleon he was just an a-hole to be honest, and he was too as a Charizard, but at least he was extremely powerful. I'm not gonna lie, I was so mad as a kid when Charizard cost Ash's battle against Richie, but he more than made up for that. Haters say that Orange Islands was not canon, when in fact that's where Charizard started obeying Ash. And in Johto, he scored Ash some of his most important wins in Falconer, Claire, and of course Gary. He was even kind enough to let Harrison win and let him advance to the top 4. Ash's Charizard is hard to hate, even if Charizard in general is extremely overrated. Grass Pokemon Ash owns in abundance, with so many starters besides the perfect one. The best one is, yup, you guessed it, another extremely developed one, Sceptile. This Pokemon was such a badass from the moment Ash caught him. With the cool trend of having a twig in his mouth, he won so many battles for Ash, and even took down Darkrai, but also kept up with the Deoxys. If Sceptile evolved before the Evergrande Conference, I think Ash would have made it even further into the tournament. Sceptile is a very unique ace as he's not overrated by fans and didn't really steal the limelight from any other Pokemon. This Pokemon doesn't lack anything as it's already solidified itself as one of Ash's strongest Pokemon ever, and it's so often considered by many to be in Ash's dream team of 6. If you don't want to stand out, then you can just be normal, making my list as the Pokemon that best fits the normal Pokemon is Snorlax. An incredibly powerful Pokemon who's also incredibly lazy, reminds me of someone, minus the powerful part at least. Snorlax has come up amazingly in so many battles for Ash over the years, and was basically an unbeatable Ubers tier Pokemon for him for a while. Even with that, it's hardly ever fainted on screen. Snorlax always scores at least one knockout whenever Ash uses him in battle. Probably his best achievement was defeating both of Greta's Pokemon with his iconic 6 moves, despite the massive type disadvantage. Snorlax is by far my favorite normal Pokemon owned by Ash. The final type to talk about today is Water, and this is a type that Ash owns so many of, so it really is hard to pick one. Except it wasn't my favorite Squirtle. Ever since I was a kid, I loved him to bits. Comic Relief is always a character I get extremely attached to, and this one's no different. Squirtle has epic moments, funny moments, a brotherhood with the Bulbasaur, and is also a confident battler. He defeated Rudy Starmie, who knows Thunderbolt, and dominating the battle against the fire expert Macy was a great nod to his firefighting skills. I know that this Pokemon often gets overlooked, so it makes me extremely happy that he gets the recognition he deserves and got a dedicated episode in Pokemon Journeys. And even though he didn't battle in the episode, he was still fantastic in it. Those are my favorite Pokemon that Ash owns of every type. Were there any that surprised you? Let's break it down by region that Ash caught them in. His Kanto captures actually consist of 8 Pokemon, which consists of 9 types. Literally half of all types of my favorite Pokemon of Ash in those types are from the Kanto region. Insane. For Johto, we only got Heracross, which is honestly surprising considering Johto's my favorite region, but not surprising looking at the cast that he caught. Hoenn got 2 Pokemon, much like the other video, so that's a nice little even split. Sinnoh had 3 Pokemon, which actually makes my second highest region. Unova had 0, which is not surprising. I think Krookodile was really close to making this list though. Kalos had Greninja because, well, ninja. Alola got Lycanroc, which is a great pupper. And finally, Ash got Dracovish, which besides Pikachu is my favorite Pokemon on his Journeys team. I would love to know your favorite Ash Pokemon by typing in the comments below, or heck, you can even make a video on it too, and I'll be sure to share it on my community tab, and shout you out if I make the next video in the series. Remember, 400 likes and I'll make a video going over my favorite of Ash's companions Pokemon by each type, so be sure to hit the like button if you made it this far into the video. A big shout out to my channel members who you can see on screen now. If you want to join them and have access to these sick emotes, then hit the join button. It's less than $1 a month and helps keep the channel up and running. If you don't want to do that, you can go ahead and join my Discord, the Peachy Bros Posse. We have now over 700 members and are a fast growing Pokemon related community, but we do play other games too. And finally, if you made it this far into the video, I want to say that you are a real one and I truly appreciate you. But with that being said, it's been your boy Luap, and I'm out. Peace.